Growing up in the late 80s and 90s, I appreciated a lot of different music. As a teenage boy, of course, acts like Green Day, Nirvana, Dr. Dre took their hold on me, but I also really enjoyed acts like TLC, Alanis Morissette, and the Cranberries. I may have hit it, but I enjoyed me some Hanson, Spice Girls, and Shakira too. My parents even helped me appreciate acts before my time, like Bonnie Raitt, Tom Petty, and Basha. I got to see the Bodines, Semisonic, and Collective Soul live before I could even drive, and live, that was incredible for me because it opened up new artists for me to find. Going to see one act, but getting exposed to a few more, either about to break big or working towards their break. I just loved finding new music and just taking it in and seeing what it made me feel. And that's what music is to me. It's feelings. It's a showcase of the heart and emotions of the musician sharing their experiences with the audience in a way that can be just as impactful as a written word. Each lyric, each note carefully crafted to take the listener through the story the artist wants to share. Now, around age 16, I discovered Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. This was something new to me. I mean, sure, I had heard Shannon Curfman cover The Weight, the Fugees doing Killing Me Softly, and Whitney Houston all but claiming I Will Always Love You as her own. But this was something different. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes were a band that just did covers, taking songs from any and all genres, and doing them in a punk style. It was great. Though I'll admit, at the time, it was more a novelty to me than the art of a band doing their own music. And there's nothing wrong with novelty, it's still an art to itself. Them being a novelty act, though, changed when I heard them do Vanessa Williams' Save the Best for Last. This wasn't just a cool, quirky take on a track, it was a reimagining of the original, and I felt like they really understood the heart of the song, felt its emotions, and were able to present it in a new way. This track, single-handedly, helped define what good cover music was to me. It's not the hardest thing to play someone else's music, that's really all karaoke is. It's a bit harder to take a song and play it in a new genre, but to take the song and showcase its heart in a new style, that is art. That is hard, and it's been something that has enabled my pretentious takes on a lot of music. Along comes MySpace, YouTube, and many other online media hosts. The barrier to get your music heard was drastically lowered. Sure, Charlie Bit My Finger was one of the most viewed videos in the world, and of course, Star Wars Kid was someone everyone had at least heard of, and by the way, Star Wars Kid deserves all the love. It was just Kid having some innocent fun. But it wasn't long till the musical acts started showing up. I want to say it was around 2008 when I found this woman named Julia Nunes. She did ukulele covers of songs and also showcased her original music as well. I loved her work and felt like I had really found a gem. Hoping she would get noticed and be able to make a career as a musician, a real underdog story to root for. One of my favorite videos of hers, though, is a delightful mashup of Justin Bieber's Baby and The Supremes' Where Did Our Love Go? This added a new layer of what good covers were to me. It can sometimes just be fun, but at least there was some real effort in crafting a new experience. Know how he said I have some pretentious takes on music? Here's one for you. I saw that video and felt the spirit of Julia hitting me. Her desire to embrace the fun and joy that music can provide and share it with the world. This hits me a lot more different than a lot of other people on YouTube who to me were only just playing other people's music, showcasing the original musician story. Kind of like how a photo of the Mona Lisa or the Grand Canyon doesn't really inspire in the same way seeing them live can. She reminded me of Me First's fun in their novelty and added extra validity to it. And see, this is what covers hold a special place in my heart. There's so many people who you can tell really appreciate a piece of music and want to share it with their audience, but there is a real challenge in taking a song and putting your own stamp on it. I never want to poo-poo someone putting themselves out there publicly with no real malicious intent. So let's not spend time talking about covers I think are bad, or missing the freshly injected spirit I crave, let's talk about some of the ones out here I think are great. I want to showcase some and hopefully expose you to someone new to enjoy. I'll link to some playlists in the description that will have all the songs discussed here, and some other covers of note, and please suggest any additions to them. I'll even try to open the Spotify one so you can just add them in direct. We'll see how that works. First, may as well hit on the cover that started my appreciation, right? Vanessa Williams' Save the Best for Last is a great track. It's beautifully produced, for sure, and of its time, of course. I mean, early 90s had a sound, right? I mean, why get real instruments when we can have electronic ones? I mean, I really feel like this string section is what anchors this song for me, as they're the only instruments that sound real. And this song shows a real emotion so many have at the very least hoped for. It's a tale of a woman wanting and waiting for the love of a man who hasn't seemed to realize she's offering. But he is seeking that love in others. It's a familiar feeling anchored in the message. Sometimes the very thing you're looking for is the one thing you can't see. But in time, the one who is waiting for all this is finally seen as more than a friend and is acknowledged with love, and a relationship blooms. The fool had dated for ages but saved the best for last. Soft, sweet, Williams' vocals hitting a delightful range and comforting all throughout. A true love song of the early 90s. So along comes Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, a punk supergroup that were known for just having fun covering other music. Each album dedicated to a certain era or genre. Their fourth album was focused on R&B songs. A regular feature of their albums was including riffs from classic punk standards, and Save the Best for Last opens with a riff from the Sex Pistols' Pretty Vacant. It's just sped up a touch. But then the rest hits. It's clean in a way I don't normally expect from Me First. Normally they had the air of just a jam session of talented musicians just having fun. Something about Spike Slawson's vocals just felt different to me. He's no slouch, but there was always an air of playfulness in his vocals. He looked to find ways to add a little bit of grit in them to give that extra edge. But here he keeps it mostly clean, basically saving that chaotic fun for the end of the track. Maybe it's because most everyone has felt the sting of wanting to be with someone who isn't interested back, but this felt earnest to me. The original was a mellow, thankful appreciation at finally being with the one you have been longing for. But this cover was just pure celebration and elation at getting a chance to live a dream that you've held in your soul. It's the same story. Man, the explosiveness and energy of the cover took the track to new heights for me. They have so many great covers though, and there is a reason they are still going. The cover of this next track I wanted to use in my cyberpunk video, but due to a couple of self-inflicted reasons, mainly not wanting to use it without permission, I left it out. The track is I Really Want to Stay at Your House, and the cover is a fingerstyle guitar cover by Emile Guitar, originally made for Cyberpunk 2077 by Rosa Walton and Haley Coggins, then utilized beautifully in Cyberpunk Edgerunners. This synth-pop track was a surprise hit for me. The sound was quirky and playful with a hint of melancholic longing, an electronically ethereal track that just pulled me in with that youthful desire to spend more time with someone, hoping that they finally commit to a life together. Shunning the things that put the distance between you two. It wasn't an immediate hit for me though. I was more a Morrow Rock FM kind of guy, but I grew to love this song so much. While I was putting together the Cyberpunk video, I came across Emile's version, and 5-10 seconds in, I just stopped doing anything else and watched. I even sent it to a friend who was helping me with my video as soon as I pulled the track bar to the beginning to take another listen. Gone was the synth, gone were the vocals. All there was this perfectly reverbed acoustic guitar. And what I got was a more honed-in take on the pain of having to wait for someone who was fighting against that hope. The distance was so pronounced, the sorrow at holding out for a better future, but not seeing it on the horizon. Yet still there was some hope to be felt. It was all there, and conveyed so beautifully and so uniquely to the original. If you appreciate acoustic guitar, please take a listen. Now, it's cool for people of my age and look to rag on a musician like Justin Bieber, but he really did have some great tracks. Sorry, being a personal favorite. It's a great track, but what I want to talk about is What Do You Mean? It's written by Bieber and Mason Levy, otherwise known as MDL. The track was obviously influenced by the EDM that was dominating North America in the mid-2010s. Super up-tempo with a heavy influence from the tropical house scene, but not quite a club banger. It was sampled and remixed for the 2015 YouTube Rewind, showcasing that sonically it was fun and worthy of celebrating with its positive vibes. The lyrics, though, they tell a story of a tempestuous relationship. Of someone so torn at trying to make a thing work while getting nothing but mixed signals from their partner. It's clear as day in the contrast shown in the lyrics. Don't want for us to end, where do I start? First you want to go to the left, then you want to turn right. Want to argue all day, making love all night. The back and forth in the lyrics is amplified by the juxtaposition between lyrics and tone. It's all part of the storytelling. So enter Calgary-based Michael Bernard Fitzgerald. Always nice plug-in local acts, right? He's actually a little hard to classify. On radio, I would call him adult contemporary, but that's not really a solid depiction of him. The Calgary Guardian lists him as some combo of folk, pop, and alternative, and that may be the best description. As a singer-songwriter, though, I didn't expect him to ever look at a Bieber track. But in 2016, out comes a cover. He maintains the upbeat tempo, really driving it home on the drums. The acoustic guitar backing the bass. Electric guitar to complement the string section, drilling the emotionality in the song. Michael's voice carries the pain and confusion in the lyrics, teetering into the desperation so prevalent throughout. He uses a pacing and dynamics in the song to show the tension of the moment. 2 verses of fast-paced anxiousness coming to a head after the second chorus when the electric guitar comes in and gives us this incredible, mournful and heavy solo. It's so focused where the song really hasn't been to this point. It ends leading down to the softest part of the song, where everything fades to let the vocals, strings, and acoustic take the foreground, adding to the contrast the song is built around. Everything feels intentional. The focus on the anguish, now a focus on the final plea. Can we turn the sinking ship around? The ups and downs finally swelling back up in this last pre-chorus. Energy builds, finally culminating in Michael desperately belting out, "What do you mean?" I'm not gonna knock Bieber. He and his team know how to build some incredibly catchy and culturally resonant music, but MBF ran with the ball here and really took this song to another level for me. I could talk about music for ages, but really I think I've made the main points I wanted to about covers. But why talk about them? Surely if we really want to discuss the beauty of what music can give us, what art can give us, we should look at originality, right? Well, that's my point here. Originality comes in many ways, and some covers have a chance to present originality in their own. Acknowledge the past, claim our influences, and present ourselves, even with someone else's words. Good covers are still remakes, yes, but when they are good, they really are taking something from the artist's influence or interests and making it their own. Creative minds all want to share their experiences, and it is romantic to think that creativity happens in a vacuum, that a single person's vision can craft a piece so beautiful that it will live on forever. But I do feel like Ode to Joy is made beautiful, not just by the arrangement, but the orchestra putting it to our ears. I think that The Princess Bride took a whole team of people to become one of the best movies of all time. The Statue of David may have been carved by Michelangelo, but I would be hard-pressed to believe it wasn't influenced by the world and the people around him. Creativity, in my mind, is best when viewed as collaborative. A team of people coming together, even if it is only one person who is showcasing the final results. Covers are just a unique way of collaborating. No cover should exist without acknowledging the source, but a good cover should aim to take that source and evolve it into something new, injecting the spirit of the cover artist into it. And what is art but the artist's spirit on display? Are covers as impactful as a wholly original song? Well, I think they can be, especially as we go along. It's harder and harder to make something wholly original. I'm not saying I want the world of music only to tell the stories already told, but I do think that there's some value in them, as long as the artist is able to influence and evolve that story. How's that for a pretentious take? Hell, I'll even argue that the shameless covers on YouTube, TikTok, whatever social media, where they are just playing the song as is, there's still some value there. If they are playing the cover note for note so they can learn another technique for their instrument of choice, there's value there. If they are doing it to test or expand their capabilities as a musician, there is value there. If that musician is just playing the original note for note because they felt like it'd be fun to play that song, that's value too. It can help them find what it is in music that inspires them. It can make them a potentially better artist. It can even just be a bit of fun or stress relief. That doesn't make it less valuable than a truly inspired new take on a song, just a different type of value. Less value for me as a consumer of that art? Sure. But for that artist, potentially more valuable than trying to jump in and release something new and personal before they feel confident enough in their own craft. Any artist, regardless of medium, should be constantly evolving, learning new techniques, exploring the boundaries of their talent, while living more life, refining old stories, fueling new experiences to share. Creativity isn't just taking a vision or a sound or words from our head and putting it out as a direct version of what we imagined. Creativity still has to work within the bounds of the reality it exists in. Name a single anime that has had a live-action version that was better than the original. Could that be because the medium allows for things that we cannot easily or accurately convey in a live-action setting? Books turn to film. Not a lot of great examples of the film outpacing the book, right? Again, the shift in medium presents many different advantages and disadvantages in the presentation. The adaptation will struggle with the things the original counted as its strengths, and should flourish in the strengths of its own medium. The same goes for doing covers. What works for one genre may be a hindrance in another. Got vocals in that cover? Well, you better figure out how to use the lyrics effectively in your own vocal tone, lest you be a simple imitation of the original, drawing needless comparison. I'm not going to say that there is no value in simple imitation, but the value is in helping the artist evolve, not in creating era-spanning, noteworthy art. Quick aside, I think a more direct comparison I'm trying to make here would be the 1998 Psycho remake. It was so heavily panned for basically being a shot-for-shot remake. Now was the point of it, right? What do they have but color and a few extra images? Like, I'm not even a horror fan, but that one bothered me at age 13. Anyways, welcome to the challenge of creativity. Making something new isn't easy. Just ask any artist. And I mean any. Musicians, painters, sculptors, filmmakers, chefs, video essayists. One of my favorite video essayists described art in one of the most beautiful and inspirational ways I have ever heard before. In her video, AI Slop is Ruining the Internet, Hoots describes creativity as a primal part of our humanity.
Every time you pick up a pen or a guitar or a paintbrush or your point shoes, every time you sing, every time you speak the words of some writer you never met but you know you knew, you are seizing your place in a continuity stretching back millennia. You are the spiritual descendant of that first person who stenciled their handprint on a cave wall, reaching forward through the veil of time to commune with us, to say, I was here. Me.
Please go watch her work. Legitimately, she is one of my favorites. Funny, well-researched, well-informed, and beautifully produces her work. BT Dubs, Hoots, you ever need another voice to come in for one of your videos, even if it will be making a fool of myself, please reach out. Much respect to you. But, enough simping. Where was I? Yeah. Creativity. Creative output is not as simple as think thing, produce thing. It lives within the constraints not only of the medium, but our own constraints of talent and skill. It thrives when it is pushing the bounds of that creativity. Kendrick Lamar is a creative voice that I admire greatly, and one of the hallmarks he has left on the rap world is the challenge of think you're the greatest, then show me. He's not going to rest on his laurels because the man loves rap and wants to bring the passion he feels for it out in others as well. His challenge to most of the rap world is to elevate it to the creative expression it was regarded as in its earlier years. His challenge to Drake was hilarious, though. Yeah, it's a different story. Other voices are better for telling that one too. You're watching a video essay. I shouldn't have to tell you who this is, but FD Signifier is to me on the Mount Rushmore of video essayists. Alright? Love his work so much. BT Dubs. FD, do you ever need someone to come in as a voice for one of your videos? Even if it's making a fool of my... simping again, aren't I? Quarter my point, though. Hoots and Kendrick are calling for the same things here. Push yourself and make something that shows the world and those in the future who you are. Who we are. To me, the second an artist produces something that could be called routine, it comes off as a sign that they are struggling to find a story worth sharing. That applies to everything, from high art to novelty, from soul-searching to chill vibes, from protest ballads to Baby Shark. Deep art feels more profound to us because it's exposing core truths of the world, but art doesn't need to be deep to inspire. My work once held a Christmas party for underprivileged children, and when Let It Go came on, those young kids popped off like Swifties at the Eras Tour. All right? Good art inspires a sense of awe and evokes emotions in us. That's what it's there for. That right there is the beauty of art, and the beauty of being human is what fuels the messages we share with our art. So what if we apply the same logic to AI? Well, may have argued myself into a corner there. By my own logic earlier, I should be in full support of AI art. What is AI art but covers of previous works, right? Who's to say that feeding a learning model the whole of classical music is not that AI being inspired by classical music? Who's to say that the first few passes of unrecognizable or clearly copied work aren't just the AI testing its boundaries, learning new techniques, or finding its own voice? That argument can be made, and I hate that so damn much. I'm not big on the idea of AI art for a few reasons, but the key issue I have is with the removal of the human element to that art. That's why I had to close the last segment with that beauty of humanity in art line, covering my ass with a little bit of pretentious sounding rambling. I think that the core of good art is showcasing an aspect of ourselves and our worldview in whatever medium we select. I'm never going to say that a formulaic cover of a song or a direct copy is good art, because while it is still technically art, it's just a copy. It lacks a personal soul behind it. I could go to a karaoke bar, belt out Susan Tedeschi's "It Hurts So Bad" and feel like I am exposing a part of my history, but it would pale in comparison to what she does with that track. Firstly, I don't know how to play guitar, and her guitar work is immaculate. Secondly, I'm not a good singer. I exist in what I call the American Idol dead zone, where I am neither good nor bad enough to get on the show. And Susan belts that song out with a pain and regret that I certainly cannot emulate. I even have an experience in my life that lines up with this track. I have some of that emotionality somewhere inside me, but I have not developed myself as a musical artist nearly enough to showcase how personal those emotions are. Me going to the pub and singing this beautiful song, that wouldn't be art to me. And that's where I feel AI falls short on the art scene. All it can ever do is emulate the emotions, the touch, the scope of what it is exposed to. It cannot truly feel the majesty of staring at the Grand Canyon. It can't truly know the elation of finally finding love with the one who always misses signs. It can only take Psycho and show it to us in color. At least for now. It's embarrassing and it terrifies me in so many ways. Creativity is actually the way AI scares me the least, from the general depiction of inhuman body proportions being the default looks on display, the numerous chatbots shut down after learning to spew obscenities and racist, sexist, all the terrible ist tirades, from the sheer number of debates that have already begun making us question what is real. We don't need help with that, AI tech bros, okay? The world is already filled with people who refuse to accept reality. The examples we have seen thus far have shown that AI only reflects the things we showcase it. And in the public's hands, we see a lot of terrible use cases. We've gone much darker than the days of Bodie McBowface. Could that get better in time? Sure. In an ideal world, we would get to a point where all call centers will be staffed effectively and efficiently by chatbots. Creatives could use the AI du jour to take some of the grind out of their efforts. Hell, I used an AI-branded speech-to-text software to help me build my subtitles in my last video. Likely gonna do it again here. There are some ways in which AI could become a wonderful tool to the world, but tool is the key word. Much like a camera is only going to look as good as the operator will allow it. A microphone will only record as clean as the user lets it. paintbrush can give us a Mona Lisa or the Ecce Homo restoration debacle. AI in an ideal world will become another asset in the creative's toolbox. Take it to another level. An editor will help a writer refine their work. A producer can help maintain a musician get their track to perfection. A film is not only the output of the director, the lead actors to the key grip all have a role in creating the final output. And I think AI could help with that too, in time. But for it to wholly produce and create of its own, or at the keyword prompts of an individual, it seems so short-sighted and missing the point of what creativity is. Back to the subtitle thing. I doubt there is anyone whose passion in life is to transcribe and timecode someone's content. The passion will be seeing and assisting in accessibility for those who need it. So if we can have a tool that helps remove the grindy, drony work that we collectively don't have a passion for, that is a great thing. That can help open more means of consumption for communities that often are overlooked. And that's not even considering that no AI model is really developing on its own, but by the mostly unpaid for work samples fed into its logic, crafted by truly creative humans. Creativity comes from inspiration in our humanity. And I struggle with the idea that AI can reasonably have that experience. Maybe in the Blade Runner replicants or Data from Star Trek. We get to that level, let's have that talk. Then. But where we are now, AI is still just reflective of its learning model and its users. But those reflections can be dangerous. Dangerous because in a capitalistic society like ours, sometimes all we communally want to see is a reflection, and we forget to challenge ourselves in what we project. I'm not saying you can't have fun with AI art. Not even gonna say you shouldn't. Some restraint from my normal pretentiousness. But I do hope you realize what it can be. And it's something I think capitalism will heavily push for if we don't keep it in mind and challenge its use. It can be built to be a replacement for human creativity. Yes, the idea of watching whatever movie we thought up in a dream is a fascinating one. And yes, the idea of taking the shitty or fantastic day we had and hearing it immortalized in a song of whatever style and sound we want, that's intriguing. But with that, we are robbing the chance for humanity to reach through the veil of time and leave a mark for future generations. It's not really our heart and inspiration we would share. It would be a formulaic composition rather than a labor of our soul reaching out to the world. There is a reason that the Beatles' Yesterday has been covered over 2,200 times, but their version is what we remember. There is a reason why Trent Reznor said Hurt is no longer his song, but now belongs to Johnny Cash. The emotionality, the soul of those versions are iconic in a way that only a true artist pushing themselves to new boundaries can be. AI may be able to do that someday, but it sure as hell isn't happening now. Maybe in time it can pull a Me First and the Gimme Gimmes and go from novelty to inspirational, but that sure as hell isn't happening yet. That's because it's not our voices, words, and images being made, just appropriated, uninspired, unelevated covers of someone else's work.
Back in town.